So welcome to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the AQA GCSE past paper of May-June 2023 Foundation Paper 1, which is a non-calculated paper. As always, I'll include a link to the paper and a question breakdown in the description below, along with a link to the 162 Maths contents page, which has access to all the videos on the channel. Now, a little reminder before we get started working through this paper that a link to the paper and the question breakdown will be available in the description below, and also include a link to the 162 Maths contents page, which has links to all the lessons that go over each of the topics in greater detail, along with topic tests, audits and other exam paper walkthroughs. So looking at question 1, it says here are a list of numbers, and the question is asking us for part A is which of these numbers is a multiple of 4. So what this question is asking us is which of these numbers is in the 4 times table, and the one that you want to circle is going to be 20. Then for B, it then says which of these numbers in the list is a square number. So again, going through your square numbers now. Again, if you're not being able to recall it and you're not too sure, then just go through 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared with the answers, and then just making sure and stopping when you get to one of these answers. But the one that you want to circle therefore is going to be 9, so we just need to write the number 9. Moving on to question 1C, it says which of the two numbers in the list have a total of 43. So again, one possible combination you could have is 14 and 29. And again, you can write those numbers in any particular order. Then for 1D, it says work out the largest number in the list divided by the smallest number in the list. Well, going back, the largest number is 45, the smallest number is 3, so it's just 45 divided by 3, which gives us an answer of 15. Now looking at question 2A, it says here is a square, use a ruler to measure the side of the square, and we need to give our answer in millimeters. Now measuring one of the lengths, and again it's entirely up to you which one you get, but I get an answer of 56 millimeters, and again the mark scheme will allow a difference of probably around about 2 millimeters, so any answer between 54 and 58 would be acceptable for the 1 mark. Then for 2B, it says here is a quadrilateral, use a protractor to measure the size of the smallest angle. Now the smallest angle on this quadrilateral is this angle here, so what we need to do is just measure this angle, and I work out with the protractor of it being around about 50 degrees. Now they would accept a 2-degree error, so any answer between 48 and 52 will be acceptable for that single mark. Moving on to question 2C, it says a different quadrilateral is drawn on a centimetre grid. By counting the squares, work out the area of the quadrilateral. So for this, all we need to do is count up the whole square. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we've got 13, 14, 15. And then it says for 2D, one side of the rectangle is drawn on a centimetre grid, and it says complete the rectangle so that it has a perimeter of 20 centimetres. Well, this first length is 7 centimetres, so 7 plus 7, because we've got 2 equal sides on a rectangle, is 14. 20 minus 14 is 6. So we've got 2 sides that equal 6 centimetres, so therefore one side must equal 3 centimetres. So if we draw a height of 3 centimetres, and then all I then need to do is with a ruler is complete the rectangle. So here, if I make sure that I'm doing it as accurately as possible, we should end up with something that looks or resembles something that looks like that. Moving on to question 3A, it says work out minus 4 times minus 3. Well, 4 times 3 is 12. 2 negatives make a positive, so we've got positive 12. For 3B, it says work out 6 times negative 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. We've got one negative number, so it's going to be minus 30. For 3C, it's minus 8 squared. So that's minus 8 multiplied by minus 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 2 negatives make a positive, so it's positive 64. Then for 3D, it's 10 cubed, which is 10 times 10 times 10, or 10 times 10 is 100, and 10 hundreds is 1000. Moving on to question 4, it says write down 18 over 30 as a fraction in its simplest form. So we've got 18 over 30, both of them are even, so if we divide by 2 we get 9 over 15, then we divide by 3 and we get 3 over 5. So our final answer is 3 over 5. Now if I did write 9 over 15, yes, I've simplified it, but I've not simplified it fully. So if I did write 9 over 15, I'd get 1 mark. So for full marks, you would need to write 3 over 5. Question 5, it says, at a shop, the normal price of 1 pen is 24 pence. The normal price of one calculator is £7. The shop has these special offers. Pens are sold at half the normal price and calculators are £1.50 less than the normal price. Work out the total price of 5 pens and one calculator using the special offers. So 5 pens, well, if it's half price, then the price is going to be 12 pence. So that's going to be 5 times 12, which is 60 pence. Then for the calculator, well, that's going to be the normal price, which is 7 minus 1.5, which is £5.50. So all that's left for me to then do is add those two numbers up. So I've got £5.50 plus 60 pence, which gives me an answer of £6.10. Moving on to question 6a, it says write 3 2/5 as an improper fraction. So for this, what we need to do is we multiply the big number by the bottom number, add it to the top. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17, and the denominator stays the same, so it's 17 over 5. 6b, it says write 0.19 as a fraction. So I've got 19, and then I've got two numbers after the decimal point, so that means 2 zeros, so that's going to be 19 over 100, which I can't simplify. So that there is my final answer. Now for question 7, it says Misha recorded the main type of weather each day for 55 days. The pictogram shows the results for rain, snow and cloud. Sun was recorded one more day than fog. Complete the pictogram for the 55 days. So for the first thing we need to do for this particular question is first of all tally up the total days. So here we can see that each block of 4 represents 4 days. So one little square represents 1 day. So for rain, that's going to be 16. For snow, that's going to be 10. And for cloud, that's going to be 18. Now we know that there are a total of 55 days. So the days left is going to be 55 minus 16 minus 10 minus 18. And again, if I just simply work that out, I get an answer of 11. Now in terms of the information that's been given here, we know that the sun was one more day than fog. So sun and fog. So if fog was x, then sun is going to be x plus 1. And if we tally up those 2 days, that's got to equal 11. So what we know is that 2x plus 1 equals 11. So therefore 2x equals 10 and x equals 5. So in terms of the sun, that's x plus 1. If x equals 5, then sun is going to be 6. And if fog is x, then that's going to be 5. So all I then need to do is complete the pictogram. So this is going to look something like this. And again, hopefully yours might be a little bit neater. And for fog, that's going to be 5. And that's going to be one little square. To question 8, it says that t equals 5p minus w. Work out the value of t when p equals 4 and w equals 2. So all I need to do is substitute these numbers into this formula. So here I've got t equals, and it's going to be 5 times p, which is 4, minus w, which is 2. 5 times 4 is 20. Take away 2 gives me an answer of 18. It then says work out the value of p when t equals minus 40 and w equals 10. So substituting these values into this formula here, we get minus 40 equals 5p minus 10. And again, what we then want to do is solve this equation. So I take the minus 10 over to the side by adding 10. So that becomes minus 40 plus 10, which is minus 30, equals 5p. Take the 5 over by dividing by 5, and I get a p value of minus 6. Moving on to question 9, it says match each box on the left to a box on the right with the same value. One has been done for you. So for here, a half is the same as 10 over 20. A quarter is the same as 0.25. And 1/5 is the same as 20%. And you get 1 mark for each correct one you do and lose a mark for every incorrect one that you miss out or get wrong. Moving on to question 10, it says here are two calculations for A and B. A equals 8 times 3 plus 2 and B equals 21 minus 15 minus 4 in brackets. And the question is asking us to work out the answer for A times B. Now if I just zoom in so we can see that on the calculator, of course it's going to reset. So let me just scroll quickly back down to the question that we were doing, which is there. So from this, what we then need to use BIDMAS. So here I'm going to do 8 times 3 first, which is 24. Plus 2, which is 26. Then for B, we need to do the bracket first. So 15 take away 4 is 11. So 21 minus 11 is 10. And then all that's left for me to then do is do 26 times 10, which gives me an answer of 260. Then for question 11, it says convert 7 gallons into litres. 1 gallon is 4.5 litres. Now, a couple of ways in which you can do this. We can either do 7 times 4.5 and multiply with decimals. But because we've got 7, you could do 4.5 and then just write that 7 times. If you've got space, that's 6. And we've got one more. Add them all up, in which you should get an answer of 31.5. Moving on to question 12, it says the table shows monthly payments for electricity, and it says write down the percentage increase from October for November. Now, as you can see, what we've done is to get from 120 to 240, we've doubled it. Now, when you're doubling something in percentage, it's going to be a double of, well, basically it's going to be increasing by 100%. Moving on to question 13, it says students choose juice with their school meal in the ratio of orange, apple to lime in the ratio of 5 to 2 to 3. And the question is asking us to complete the bar chart. So if I just zoom in out just a little bit so we can see it. So here we've got orange, we've got apple, and we've got lime. And we've got the ratio 5 to 2 to 3. Now what I want to do is work out how much lime is. So looking at the total, I've got 20 for orange and I've got 8 for apple. Now what I want to do is I want to see the relationship from the ratio to the actual amount. So how do I get from the purple number to the yellow number? Well, I need to multiply by 4. So to work out the lime, I then need to do 3 times 4, which is 12. So then all that's left for me to then do is draw a bar of 12 on the bar chart. And again, we want to make sure you're using a ruler for this. You're trying to be as accurate as possible, making sure you've got equal distances between the bars, and that you are using a ruler. So you should end up with something like this. And again, colouring in the bar is completely optional. Moving on to question 14, it says here is some data about people visiting a gym 1 week. And the question is asking us to compare the data of members to the data of guests. Make 3 comparisons. Now for this, what you want to do is you've got 3 headings. And what you want to do is you want to make a statement on each of those 3 statements. So looking at the percentage of all visitors, we can make an assumption that there were more members than guests visiting the gym during the 55 days. Now the next comment we then want to compare is the mean. So as you can see, the average time spent at the gym for the 55 days was greater for members than the guess. And again, we've got mean of 4 and 2.5 in comparison. And then our final statement is something about the range. So we can say something along the lines of that the range of, and let's just have a look, the hours visiting was greater for guests than the members. So something along those lines would be absolutely fine. And if you're not sure about your comment, definitely refer to the official mark scheme where you can see whether your answer would get a mark. Moving on to question 15, it says a large rectangle has a rectangular hole cut out, and the question is asking us to work out the percentage of the large rectangle that is shaded. Now for this, the percentage, so this formula, what I need to do is I need to do the area shaded divided by the area of the big rectangle, and I need to multiply that by 100. So what I need to do is I need to work out the two bits of information. Now the area of the big rectangle is going to be multiplying these two numbers together, so that's going to be 20, and then the shaded area is the big rectangle minus the small rectangle, and we're talking about area there. So the area of the big rectangle we've already worked out as 20. The area of the small rectangle is 2 times 3, which is 6. So the shaded area is going to equal 20 take away 6, which is 14. So then what we then can do is, using these two numbers here, which is probably poorly, just write over that again. So using the formula, substitute those numbers in, I've got 14 over 20 multiplied by 100. Now to work out the percentage, an easier way of doing this, you could either work that calculation out, or using the fraction, we've got 14 over 20, and what I want to do is I want to write that as a fraction over 100 because we want the percentage. So here I multiply 20 by 5, so if I do 14 times 5, I get an answer of 17. Again, if you're not sure, just do the multiplication on the side, in which you should get 70, so the percentage is going to be 70%. Then moving on to question 16, it says Liz travels 18 miles in 20 minutes. Work out the average speed in miles per hour. So here we've got 18 miles. And then what we then want to do is we want to convert 20 minutes into hours. Now 20 minutes is equal to 20 over 60, which is a third of an hour. So here we've got 18 miles divided by a third of an hour. And what I then want to do is I then want to work out what this calculation is. So I've got 18 divided by 1 over 3. And again, remembering the rules of fractions, so we convert the 18 to a fraction, then we flip the second fraction, turn it into a multiply. So I've got 18 times 3, which gives me an answer of 54. So it's going to be 54 over 1. 54 divided by 1 is just simply 54. So the answer is 54 miles per hour. Moving on to question 17, it says that ABC, BD and BE are straight lines. It says the angle EBD equals 5 times the angle of ABE, and the angle of DBC is 3 times the size of angle ABE. And the question is asking us to work out the size of EBD. Now, because angle AB is used in both of the two other angles, let's label angle ABE as X. So this angle here is going to be X. So then that means, using this bit of information here, that if angle ABE is equal to X, 5 times X is going to be 5X, and 3 times X is going to be 3X. So this angle here is 5X, and this angle here is going to be 3X. Now, what do we know about angles on a straight line? Well, we know that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So if I add up these three angles together, I get X plus 5X plus 3X equals 180. Now, simplifying this left-hand side, we get a total of 9X equals 180. So then divide by 9, and we get X equals 20. So then what I can then do is substitute. Now that I know that X equals 20, I can then work out what each of these angles are going to be. So X is going to be 20, 5 times 20 is 100, and 3 times 20 is 60. Now the question is asking me to work out angle EBD. So EBD is this angle here. So the answer then is 100. Moving on to question 18, it says that two prime numbers are multiplied together. The answer is an even number between 50 and 60. Complete the calculation. So if I start by writing all the prime numbers from, let's say, for the first couple, so I've got 2, I've got 3, I've got 5, I've got 7, I've got 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. Now the reason why I stop at 29 is because 2 times 29 is going to give me 58, so therefore it's going to take me further on. So if I did write 31, 2 times 31 goes outside of this range, which is not what we're going to be looking for. So here we're looking for using two of these numbers, which gives me an even number between 50 and 60, and the answer I'm going to go for is 2 and 29, which gives me an answer of 58. So then moving on to question 19, it says Andrew and Bruce share some money in the ratio of 5 to 6. Bruce gets £96. Andrew gives a quarter of his share to Carl. Bruce gives 2/3 of his share to Carl. How much money does Carl receive? So for this, let's first of all work out how much Andrew gets. So Andrew receives, well, if we've got 5 to 6, so using this bit of information here, we know that we've got Alex and Bruce. So Bruce gets 96. So £96 equals 6 parts. So that therefore means that 1 part is going to equal 16. So therefore Andrew receives 5 parts. So it's going to be 5 times 16, which equals £80. So then from this, what we can then do is now use the information of these two lines here to work out how much each of these give to Carl. So how much goes to Carl. So looking at Andrew, well, that's going to be a quarter of 80. So a quarter of 80, so that's the same as a quarter times 80, or 80 divided by 4 times 1, which gives me an answer of 20. Then for Bruce, well, that's going to be 2/3 of £96. So it's going to be 96 divided by 3 multiplied by 2, which gives me an answer of £64. So then all that's left for me to then do is add these two numbers up. So I've got 20 plus 64, which gives me an answer of £84. Moving on to question 20, it says players score points in a game. The scattered graph shows the time played and the points scored by some players. And for 28, it says circle the strength of the type of correlation shown. Now, as you can see, the points are going in an upwards trajectory, going from left to right. So here we can send that if I was to draw a line of best fit, it's going to be very close to the line. So we're going to say that it is strong positive. So all I could do, and again, it's not asking me to, but I'm sure it potentially may, is then draw my line of best fit. And as you can see, all of those points are relatively quite close to my line of best fit. It's going upwards, so therefore it's going to be strong positive. It then says, now for 20B, it says players get 1 extra life for every 2,000 points they score. Jonah plays the game for 15 hours, use the line of best fit to estimate the number of extra lives he gets. So what I then need to do is using my line of best fit, and again, yours might slightly differ from the one that I've got on the screen. So if I go up at 15, then as soon as it's the line, I then project across. Now it's going to be around about 34. I make it on mine. Yours might be slightly different. So I've got 34,000. And what I then want to do to work out the extra number of lives, you get an extra life for every 2,000 points. So if I divide that by 2,000, so if I divide that by 2,000, and then to work this out without a calculator, if I cancel the zeros, I've got 34 divided by 2, which equals 17. So the answer then is going to be 17 extra lives. Moving on to question 21, it says 2 to the power a times 3 times 5 squared equals 600. It says work out the value of a. So I've got 2 to the power of a multiplied by 3 times 5 squared equals 600. Now 5 squared is equal to 25. So here I've got 2a times 3 times 25 equals 600. Now if I get rid of the 25 first, so I divide 600 by 25, well, there are 4 25s in 100, so that's going to leave me with 24. So that's going to be 2a times 3 equals 24. Then divide by 3, in which I get 2a times 3. So 2 to the power a times 3. So if I go 2 times 2, which is 4, times 3, so that should be an 8. And that gives me 8. So therefore the answer is how many 2's? And the answer is going to be 3. Moving on to question 22, it says expand and simplify fully 5 lots of 3x plus 4 minus 2 lots of x minus 1. So first of all, if I write this out, now for this you just need to be careful with negatives, particularly when they're outside brackets. So here 5 times 3x is 15x plus 5 times 4, which is 20, minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and minus 2 times minus 1 is positive 2. So then simplifying the x's, I've got 15x take away 2x, which is 13x, and then 20 plus 2 is 22. So the answer then is 13x plus 22. Moving on to question 23, it says Erica tries to sketch the graph of y equals 1 over x, where x cannot equal 0. It says make 2 different criticisms of her sketch. So for this, and again, your wording might be slightly different to mine, but the first criticism is that it shouldn't cross the y-axis because we've been told that x can't equal 0, so therefore at x equals 0, that curve should not be touching the y-axis, or there shouldn't be any point at x equals 0. Then the second criticism is that when x is less than 0, you can either write it as an equality or you can write it in words, y is also less than 0. Now basically what that means is that when x is negative, so looking at this region here, that this curve that we've got should actually be something that looks like this. So that's what it should be, and that's what Erica has drawn. So that's what we should have. So something along those lines would get you the 2 marks. Then for question 24, so let's just zoom in again. It says Sunita is X years old. Beth is 1 year younger than Sunita. Joel is double Sunita's age. The mean of their ages is 5. And it says how old is Joel? So we start off by just writing down each of the people. So we've got Sunita, we've got Beth, and we've got Joel. Now we don't know, or we know that Sunita is X years old. Now it says Beth is 1 year younger than Sunita, so that means Beth is going to be X minus 1. And Joel is double Sunita's age, so if Sunita is X years old, Joel is going to be 2x. Now to work out the average, what we do is we add up the 3 ages. So we've got x plus x minus 1 plus 2x divided by how many people we've got, which is 3, and that comes up to a total, it tells us, of 5 years old. Now what we then want to do is solve this equation. So if I simplify this top line, what I've got is I've got x plus x minus 1 plus 2x, so that's going to give me 4x minus 1 divided by 3 equals 5. So next, solving this equation, I take the 3 over to the side by multiplying by 3. So here I've got 4x minus 1 is equal to 15. Add the 1, so that becomes 4x equals 16. So then, and then divide by 4, which leaves me with x equals 4. Now the question's asking how old is Joel? Well, Joel is 2x, so therefore Joel is going to be 2 lots of 4, which gives me an answer of 8. Then moving on to question 25, it says that we want to work out 2 1/3 divided by 4/5, and we want to write our answer as a mixed number. So if I just start off by writing out the question again. Now to work this out, what we need to do is we need to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. So remember, we need to multiply the big number by the bottom number, add it to the top. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So that's 7 over 3 divided by 4 over 5. And the rule of when we're dividing fractions, we flip the second fraction, turn the division symbol into a multiply. So that becomes 7 over 3 multiplied by 5 over 4. Then 7 times 5 is 35. 3 times 4 is 12. How many 12s go into 35? Well, that's going to be 2, with a remainder of 11, and our original denominator is 12. So the answer then is going to be 2 and 11 over 12. And there we go, and that's the last question on this paper.